my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to explain you how we can perform different types of deployment in Kubernetes. So I will explain you the concept behind that and also show you the hands-on demo how you can perform the deployment. So there are many techniques in Kubernetes or any as a deployment strategy. You can apply this strategy on the serverless architecture or server architecture, or if you have the architecture which is like the different one, not on Kubernetes but on the ECS or ECS, you can also perform the same type of technique. So I am going to explain you how many techniques we are and how we can perform these things practically on the Kubernetes environment. So we have, first of all, we have Big Bang technique, Big Bang development, we can say deployment, Big Bang deployment. What this deployment is do, when we have the cluster, right? In my example you can see that I have one cluster, I have two nodes and three pods, and two pods are connected to the three pods are connected to the two nodes. So now what I will do as a part of Big Bang deployment, what we'll do, we will directly update the version and uh, and apply those changes. Once I will do that, what I will do, I will directly terminate this pod and this pod directly, and at a time and at a time it will update the version for the pod 1, then again pod 2 and again pod 2. So it is the like the we can say deployment at a time. And how we can implement those things in in the Kubernetes, I will show you the live example how we can do that. So here you can see that I have one deployment. So I have a flash deployment, we can say, and also I am the selector which is called the environment development environment and template, and I use something like that. So in my Docker image you can see here I have ECR image. I will directly change the version v4 to v5 and directly apply this file or apply this file using the Argo CD or the from the locally. I will directly apply this file. So what this after apply this file, what will happen, it will directly terminate my all pod and directly launch the new pod with the updated version. So this type of deployment, we can say it's a Big Bang deployment. But what is the drawback of this deployment? So for updating the version, what will happen if you directly terminated all the pod and launch the new pod, then we have faced some downtime. That is the major drawback of this deployment. So actually people are using this deployment because people are not aware that how we can toggle or that or how we can do that, but people are many times use this deployment. I will explain you when people are using this. But you can see that my all pod are terminated, so that's why I have facing some downtime, and now my all pods are up and running. So we can say my updated version is directly taking place. So now, but there is also one drawback of this deployment. If my updated version failed, if my updated version is not run on my latest environment or on the environment, then we can say my application will go down at that time, because latest version, the pod of the latest version will be say like error or something like that, under creating or the pending state, and because of that I am facing some downtime. So that is also the one of the major drawback of this deployment. So this is all about the Blue deployment. Let me explain you the another called type of deployment, and you will also explain that how we can do that. We can directly update the version and apply those things. We will not care of many of things or another things. So now I have some other thing, we can say rolling deployment. Let's consider this example as a rolling deployment. Let's do that. Okay, let's take it. Okay, yeah. So rolling deployment is something like we are rolling few things step by step approach. Means what we'll do in the rolling state, what we'll do if we update the version, what will happen, right? So this pod will be go in the termination state, and my Kubernetes node or a Kubernetes cluster automatically launch a new pod, which we can say this is the pod for the new one, which we can say pod 4, and in the pod 4 it has the new version. So this will terminate my pod 1 and launch the new pod with the updated version. Then again it will terminate my pod 2, then we can say it's in red, and it will again launch the one of the pod with the new version. Like just me explaining or give the name here like pod, and it's a green, right? So this is a step by step approach, means one by one it will like the terminate my pod and launch the new pod with the updated version. So what happen if the pod fail, or what happened the version of the updated version is not working properly. So if my pod 1 is crash, or if my pod 1 is terminated and new pod is launched, which is called pod 4, and if this pod 4 is not going to in the running state, or it's not workable, it has giving me some error, then my deployment stop automatically here. It will not go to the pod 2 and then the pod 3. It will only for the pod 1 that's happen, and my deployment will be the stop there, and my there is no anything happen, just it stop thing, and my terminated pod is also terminate in the termination phase, and my new pod is also in the new error phase. So again that they will never terminate your second pod until and unless you apply those things, or you will do this thing, this will never do. So in this deployment you can see that, observe that there is no downtime, because if we do that one by one our pod is updated with the new version. So if I have 100 of pod, based on the step by step approach I am updating one by one with the new one, and I am also like the my node or my service or Kubernetes cluster will handle those topics from the new one to the older one. So they have something like the combination and intelligence that they will like switch the traffic from the new and old, and there is no downtime in this deployment. So how we can perform this deployment in the Kubernetes cluster, I will explain you. So you can see that I have in the my deployment file, I need to mention that strategy type equal to rolling update. Rolling update max surge means how many pod at a time I want to create, or I want to create a new version. So I will say here 2, 3 or anything. So we can say 2, 3 or something like that. And maximum unavailable pod, which means that how much my pod will be unavailable during this time. If my have the only I pick here like maximum one pod will be unavailable, so one by one it is going to the deployment strategy. If I here mention here like 5, it will going for the, it will like terminate 5 pod at a time and launch the new 5 pod at a time, something like that. This strategy will work as a rolling update. So this is the rolling update as a node level as well. EKS also support the rolling update. So what in the EKS node group updation, there is a flag which is called rolling update. If you select that, this will first launch the new node and with the new version, and then terminate the older version, or the terminate the older node. This is called rolling update. And in the code level, this is the block which we need to put inside our deployment YAML. With the help of this block you can perform the rolling update, and rolling update perform automatically. You don't need to manually do that. It's everything taken care by the Kubernetes. So now this is the second one, which is called rolling update. Now third one is the canary deployment. So this is also little bit of complex, we can say, and effective as well. In the like rolling update deployment, people are most of the time uses the rolling update deployment because there is no downtime and there is no risks, and we are also minimize the risks in the rolling update. But big bang deployment, we have the high risks. And example of the big bang deployment, we can say people are taking sometimes the downtime. You observe that in our company or in any company, people are saying that okay, there is the downtime between 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. like something like that. So based on that, they are performing this type of deployment, and after the pods will be live, they will check that during that downtime is anything happen or not, or is my traffic is going well. Once that is check is successfully completed, then they will say okay, downtime is over, you can perform your auction. So that's the, we can say that's the thing, example of the big bang deployment. Now we can say our third part is the canary deployment. So in canary deployment, what will happen, right? So let me push this pod to the white one. So now you can see that what happened in the canary deployment. I have the new version which I want to go for the which I want to deploy. So what I will do only for the node 1, means I will check that what the version which are present on the node 1 pod. It is saying that I have the older version, then I will put my 2 pods, means let's consider these 2 pods are connected to my node 1 and these 3 pods are connected to my node 2. So for the node 1 only, I will update the version for the pod 1 and pod 2. So my node 1 will contain the new pod, we can say. Let me green this. Okay, so here you can see that my node 1, actually it's not giving me that what I want actually. So okay, ignore that. But you can see that my this column is my new version. I will mention here new, and my below thing is my like the older version. So for my new version, it has the new version pod, and my below one is the older, which contain older version pod. So what happened in the canary deployment? In the canary deployment, we will do what we will check our traffic will be go to the new and older one as well, but for the possibility of going to the new one is very less. We will take it as a 10%, and for the older one the possibility is 90% because it's running successfully. So what our testing team on the live environment will test that, okay, my new deployment or new stage is going well or not. If it's going well, then what we will do, we will put my 90% traffic on my older one, new one, and 10% traffic on older one, and then I will again update my this older deployment to the new version. So in that way, I am like on the live environment, I am checking as well, is my new deployment is capable enough to handle my things, or is there any error or not. We are checking that as well, and based on that we are handling things, or we are like managing the traffic. So in the canary deployment, we are facing some downtime. It's fraction of the seconds, because when we are like the checking and all, but there is not no, we can say in the conceptually or technically there is no downtime, but maybe some time of the switching happen, or some time of the like switching happen, or the traffic diversion happen. At that time there is some fraction of downtime, but technically there is no downtime in the canary deployment as well. So I will explain you, like I will give you one example how we can perform canary deployment in a Kubernetes cluster. So here I am putting something like which is called ingress. So what this will do, so what I will do as a part of this deployment, so what we'll do, I will create one ingress controller. So ingress controller I will put here. So ingress controller, what I will do for the path, right, for the path based mechanism, I will follow that. So what I will do, I will create two services. One is one service for the older one or the current one, and one service is for the new version. And what I will do, I will use the path. So only like default path will go to my older thing, and I will create the another new path based mechanism with the new /new, and /new mechanism will go to the new service, which is called a version 1 service. So what happened here, my testing team with the help of /new path will check that is my everything is going well or not. If my everything is going well, and there is nothing error, and all my systems are working properly, what I will do, I will just change this path to default one, and I will delete this line, and I will deploy these things. Once I will deploy that, then automatically my older things are automatically changed by the new service, and my new service will be in place. So my new service will handle everything. So this, but before during that change there are some downtime, but technically no downtime, because Kubernetes are intelligenceism, but we can consider there is fraction of second downtime, we can say. If maybe or may not the case maybe happen, so something like that. So this is the things we can perform as a part of canary deployment. Ingress controller is required for the canary deployment, and this is how we perform the canary deployment in the Kubernetes cluster. So now if my canary deployment is also done, what I will do, we have the last deployment, which is called the blue-green deployment. So what this deployment will do, so this deployment will create the same structure like this one, like cluster 1, node 1, and the same structure which is create. Let me create the same structure here. I am not sure it will create or not, but you can see that I have okay, this cluster, we can say I have this older and this new. So what we do as a part of the blue-green deployment, so blue-green deployment will create same infrastructure on the cluster level or on the namespace level in our environment, one our older thing which is called the blue environment and our new thing is called the green environment. So what we'll do, we will check that okay, my green environment is running properly or not. If it's running properly, then we will switch topic from the my blue part to my green part. So how we can do that in the Kubernetes environment? So here I have the namespace, right? So you can see this is my demo namespace, which is called blue namespace. You can say it's a blue. So what I will do, I will create the same deployment. Let me copy paste. In the production environment, we have multiple strategies. We are using the like apply or thing or things like that. But in here we are just using the like copy pasting things. So now I have like one namespace, my older deployment present on my demo namespace, and I will create the new namespace. This is demo green. So in my demo green, I have the same structure, like I have the 5 pods with the rolling update and everything is in place, right? In my new namespace, right? I will create that and I will apply those things, older things to the new one. And I have the everything is running, means I have two identical namespace which are running. So I will check for the green one, which is the latest one, is everything is running properly or not. If everything is running, then I will just change the load balancer or the just change in the service that, and I am mentioning here I want to switch from dev to like dev green. So once I will do that, it will automatically switch my traffic from my blue namespace to my green namespace, and my green namespace will be in place, and it will taking care handling the traffic. So this is the way we can perform the blue green deployment. We have to create the two identical namespace. So what is the drawback of blue green deployment? One drawback of the blue green deployment is that we have to create at a time of any deployment, we have to create same identical structure 2 times. There is no downtime in blue green deployment, which is good, but we have to create same identical structure. If you want to create the same identical structure in the cluster level, so it will utilize more resources. You have to create like 2 nodes here, so you have to create same identical structure 2 more nodes as a part of new one and same pods. So it has some billing issue or it has high bill. So because of that, the 2 identical structure which are running at a time. So that's why we like sometimes ignore blue green deployment, but many companies follow this blue green deployment because of it's safe, and also it has the zero downtime. So these are the 4 things, like the big bang deployment, blue green deployment, canary deployment, and rolling deployment. These are the 4 deployment strategy people are mostly used in the company basis. Depends on the what use case they are performing. If they are performing like cluster upgradation or things like that, they will go with the blue green deployment. If they are going for the pod updation or the update container image upgradation, so at that time they are going for the rolling deployment. So based on that, the use case they are performing that. So this is the pretty much from the deployment strategy. Thank you very much.